Recording.
Yes. Okay, I've sent the answer to you all, so you can check it through. Okay, are you satisfied with your SAT 4? Okay, Okay, please mark your attendance. After 2 weeks holiday, you should be very fresh and so 854CUR. Okay. So if you have personal question about your SAT 4, you can text me. I will answer you accordingly. So listen here. So in 2 months' time, we are going to finish chapter 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. So this week, I'm going to finish up chapter 6. Everyone, can you please turn to your textbook, chapter 6? Okay, Mikia, may I know what is the title of chapter 6? Mikia?
Yes.
What is the title of chapter 6?
I do not know.
Where got such thing as you do not know? When you come for the next class, isn't it you're supposed to have your textbook with you?
I don't have that textbook.
How come you don't have? Right from the very beginning, I told you already, textbook is the most important thing.
Sorry.
For 6 months, you don't have to say sorry to me, Mikia. It's yours. You're supposed to get the textbook. You can get the textbook online.
Okay.
Okay, so this particular 2 SAT, it doesn't involve much calculation, but it involves a lot of understanding. So I need you really have to understand what is it. So now, chapter 6 is, so my first question to you will be, you have learned this before. So can anyone explain to me what is statistic? Can I have some feedback on statistic? What is statistic to you? If I ask you what is calculus, you're talking about calculus is studying 2 fields. That is differentiation. You talk about the rate of change of something. And you talk about integration. That means if you have the rate of change, you can get back the function. Okay. Someone say it's a study of mean. Some more. Analysis of data. You can just talk to me.
Mode.
Yes.
Mode.
Okay. Mode.
Interpretation.
Interpretation.
Range.
Interpretation of numbers. Some more. Okay. Range. What else?
Standard derivative.
Standard deviation. Not derivative. Derivative is calculus. Huh? Standard deviation. Okay. What else? Okay. Someone tell me probability. Okay. What else? What else? Frequency. Anything else that you have learned about statistics? Actually, chapter 6 is a revision of what you have learned in year 11. Huh? So chapter 6 is a whole thing that we have learned in year 11. I just need to teach you how to use graphic calculator to get whatever you need. So when people ask you what is statistic, you won't tell people all this. What you will tell is statistic is defined as the collection and interpretation of data. So these are when you have frequency, okay, when you have the data, you collect the data, then you make a calculation, then after that you do interpretation. So this is what you call statistic. So what is statistic? Statistic is defined as collection and interpretation of what? Of data. So that is statistic. This chapter, you better listen carefully because you are going to write an assignment folio 20% out of your 70%. Is a lot. Is concerning this few chapter. I will release the folio task to you after we finish our SAT6. Okay, so if you want to write about this chapter, you must know what is statistic. You don't tell me all this number. So what is statistic? You collect the data, you do calculation, then you interpret it. So what do we use statistic for? We use it for what?
Predictions.
To make prediction. Come on. To analyze. Analyze what? Analyze what? So you have to, because when you do your folio, you have to tell us your parameter. Parameter, that means the variable that you want to talk about. So what we use statistic for? We use statistic to measure and analyze. So measure in here means collection, and analyze variability. Variability means in maths we call the variables. Variability of things or people. Like what? Like what? All of us, we have variable IQ, something that vary. So can you tell me that something in us that is not the same? Like what? Can you give me some example? Yeah, we can talk about the weight, the height, some more, hair color, personality. So it can be a lot. When you talk about things, you can say the weight of an apple produced by a company, produced by a farm. Okay, weight of chickens produced by this farm compared to the other farm, the kind of thing. So we measure. After we measure, we analyze. How we analyze? We analyze by doing some calculation. Okay, so do you know what is statistics? Statistics involved in collection of data. After you collect it, you have to interpret the data. So there are two parts. So I asked you, how many kinds of statistics do we have? Question 3. How many kinds of statistics are there? We have two types of statistics. You see, just now we say what is statistic? We have two parts, correct? We have two parts. Collection, interpretation, measure, analyze. So can you tell me how many types of statistics do we have? We have two types. So when we talk about statistics, we are talking about a group of something. So this group of something, what do we call it? Can you please go to page, okay, for the sake of those who don't have the textbook, page 154, part A, key statistic concept. Do you have that? Do you have that? Key
Yes,
statistic concept. Yeah. So I'm going to WhatsApp this chapter to you, this page to you, for those who don't have the book. Yeah. So every time when we talk about statistics, we will want to talk about a group of things or a group of people. So that group of things or group of people, we call it, what do we call it? We call it the population. Population is, what does that mean? Okay, can you give me the definition of population?
Number of a certain species in like a certain space.
The entire collection of individuals about which we want to draw the conclusion. Do you see that the word, the meaning of population?
Yeah, I think like it's like it has to be like in about a certain species.
Yeah, so it's about total amount of things.
Individual.
Yeah, total. I can put it another way, total amount of things that we want to draw conclusion from.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that is called the population. So what our conclusion you want to draw is depend on situation. So this is the first word. So every time when you have a problem, usually we will define the population. Want to draw conclusion. So when you want to draw conclusion, okay, draw conclusion. So the population. So if like, for example, I said the population of teenagers in Malaysia, the population of my population is 17 years old. Okay, I want to study the height of 17 years old boys and girls in Malaysia. Do you think the population is big or small?
Big.
Very big. I want to draw some conclusion. I say they are okay. I want to say that okay, their height is between this value and that value. So it's very big. Is it possible for me to go and collect everyone in the population to draw the conclusion that I wanted? Huh? Impossible, correct? It will be very time consuming. So what should I do? So that's why we have two parts of statistics. One is you need to collect data. So how are you going to collect data? You definitely won't get everything correct. So from this population, you are going to take out part of it. Okay. Yeah, from the part of this population. So part of the population, what do you call? Can you please look at the book? Yeah, we are going to talk about is the sample. Part of the population, we call it the sample. So from this sample, okay, we are going to do something. So that is where the two statistics come from. Two types of statistics come from. There is the descriptive statistic. That means you get the data, then you talk about it. When we say talk about it, that means you do some calculation. Okay, so this descriptive statistic, we are going to do it in chapter. Listen, chapter 6 is what you have learned in year 11. Chapter 7 is discrete. We call it discrete variable. Still remember, you look at chapter 7. What is chapter 7 all about? But I will teach you through all one by one. What is chapter 7? Can someone give me? It's discrete.
Discrete random variables.
Yeah, discrete random variable. Okay, random. What do you mean by random? Okay, when you talk about sample, the sample must be a random sample. I want you to go and check it out and tell me what is the meaning of random. Yeah, so this is your first assignment. Okay, discrete random variable. Okay. In chapter 6, you will find mean mode, do some calculation. Random variable, and this one you talk about binomial distribution. Okay, so what is descriptive statistic? You get the data, you talk about it, means you do some calculation. Okay, so chapter 8, we are going to talk about continuous variable. Can you please go to chapter 8? So statistic, I cannot go by section. Huh? I have to link the whole thing. Okay, continuous random variable. And we are going to study a type of distribution. All these are called distribution. Huh? That means the changes of the variable, continuous random variable. And we are going to study a special kind of distribution. We call it normal distribution. Have you learned this in year 11?
Probably have, but probably forgotten about it.
You cannot say probably have, probability you've forgotten about it. So I can guarantee you, if you open your year 11 book, your IGCSE Max, you definitely will see this. By the way, I'm very familiar with IGCSE syllabus, and I'm very familiar with SPM syllabus as well.
You see the one where the graph is shaped like a upside down U, the one for binomial distribution.
Yeah, binomial is like that. You have a spike diagram, not you. You have a spike diagram like that. It's discrete. Do you know what is the meaning of discrete variable?
Not really.
Discrete variable means it's countable. When I say discrete, I refer to, listen here, countable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, those discrete variable can be number of pets that a family has at home. That's called discrete. Numbers of children that a family has. You get me? So that is called countable. Anything that you can count using your finger, that is a discrete variable. Continuous variable, they are measurable. Measurable. Like weight, height, it can take decimal. This one must take whole number. So all this is something, this one you must use instrument to measure. Like weight of an apple produced by a farm. So this is a continuous variable. So we are going to study these two distributions, one in chapter 7, one in chapter 8. Yeah. So this one will make up your SAT 5. Do you get the picture?
More or less.
So now you get the picture. Huh? Okay, then the other part of statistic we call inferential statistic. So can I just draw it here so that you have a whole picture of it? Inferential. So that means you take a sample from a population, you analyze the sample to make judgment. So you are going to make judgment. You are going to make judgment on a population based. You are going to make judgment for a population. Huh? What judgment? You have to state, like you are doing an experiment, you have to state your statement, judgment for a population based on a sample, a random sample that you draw from the population. Okay, so this one we are going to study in chapter 9. And this one, we will study two very important things. That is central limit theorem and confidence interval. And this will make your SAT 6. So you don't have to worry about, I'm just telling you which is it. Get me? And we have to complete this by the end of the 3rd week of August. Okay? And your folio. Listen, your folio will be all this. 20%. Okay? So please, every single lesson here is very important. Are you okay? So when come to sample, I will explain to you why sample. When come to population, I will explain, and all this I will explain again. Here, I just give you the overview. Got it? Okay. Can I not?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone? So
Yes.
don't be overwhelmed because I show you a lot of things. Just bear in mind, you follow my instruction, then you will be able to do well in your SAT. Have I let you down before for the SAT? No, correct? As long as you follow. Okay, now. So now we go to our chapter 6. Can I not? So now, everyone remember, when you do your folio, you must explain to people what is statistics. What do we use statistics for? So that you will know how to write your problem statement later on. Yep. Okay, good. So let's move on. So now, if you look at all the word there, the outlier and everything, you go and find out first. So now, numerical variable. Okay, when we talk about numerical variable of interest, we have 2 types, correct? Just now I told you types of variable. How many types do we have?
2.
Types of variables of interest. That means what are you interested in? So two. One is discrete. Yeah, discrete variable. Okay. Do you see the discrete variable? Okay, types of variable of interest, discrete. So this one we call it quantitative. I talk about quantitative variable. Quantitative data, that means you got the number. We have another one, we call it the categorical. Categorical, that means you go by category. The one you can go and check. Categorical, we only interested in quantitative. So that's why I don't want to go into categorical. Categorical, that means we talk about types of car, whereby you cannot use number. Quantitative means you can use number. Use number, okay? That's called quantitative. So we have data that is measured in numbers. That is called quantitative. Deal with numbers that make sense to perform arithmetic calculation. Later we will perform. Okay, use number that enable us to perform arithmetic calculation with it. Okay, so now we have discrete. So can you give me some example of discrete? It's in your book, correct? So I told you just now discrete means it's countable. When we all max, we use countable, that means you can count with whole number. Okay, can someone tell me what is the smallest whole number?
Is it 0?
Smallest whole number is 0. Biggest whole number, we don't know. So set of whole number, we go like that. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So this is called discrete. Yeah. So every time when we talk about discrete variable, we can present it as a number itself, a group of number itself, or we can put it in a frequency distribution table. Still remember? Do you know what do you mean by frequency distribution table? This may be something that you okay. So my variable, okay, I define my variable x, number of people in a car. Okay, so x, can it be 0? Can it be 0?
Yes.
Yes.
Can number of people in the car can be 0?
Yeah, a car can be empty. Yes.
A car can be empty.
Mm-hmm.
Number of people in a moving car.
Okay, if you add the word moving, then maybe not.
Okay. Number of people in a moving car through a junction. Through A, through a junction A. Okay, that one is very specific. Can it be 0?
No.
No.
Can.
What Elon Musk
You are
Tesla
not.
car is it?
You are not in 20th century, 21st century.
It's not
You are
auto
not in
driving cars.
22nd century. Ha 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 ha. Isn't it now you have cars that without driver?
No.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah, Tesla. Yes, thank you. We done. So we try not to be funny. Okay, 1, it can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 4. Yeah, it can be 5. Okay, so now then this is the frequency. This is called discrete variable. Are you clear? So this is my variable. X is my variable. So every time when you do statistic, right? Very important. We use an alphabet to represent the variable. Then we have to write down what does X represent. You get me? Then you have the frequency. Okay, so this is called discrete variable. Okay, what do you mean by continuous variable? Okay, this is measurable. Okay, when something is measurable, we also got a numerical value. We also, so it can take a decimal number, correct? So usually when we present it in a frequency distribution table, how do you present it? Okay, like Y. Y is the weight of 17 years old in Malaysia. Oh, so that is a lot, correct? Okay, so I can from here I draw samples. I draw samples, and I have my N is my sample size. That means how many of them I draw from this group. Yeah, sample size. Yeah. So I can have Y in kg. Yeah, 50. No, 40 to 45, 46, 40 to 44, 45 to 49, 50 to 54. Okay, for example, then 55 to 59. So now if I put the frequency, that means number. So if I put here 7, so do you know how to interpret this continuous variable? I just know that there are 7 people, their weight is between 40 and 44, correct? Do I know exactly how many got 40? How many got 40.1 kg, 40.2 kg? Do I know? I don't know. So you can put a continuous variable. Continuous variable means you can take 40.1, 5.7 kg. They can take any value. Okay, so can you tell me what is my sample size for this case? Can you tell me what is my sample size?
34.
34? Yeah, so you add up all, yeah, 34. You add up all the frequency. So we say sum of the frequency, that is the sample size. So do you know how to find the sample mean? Do you know how to do all this?
You take like,
Okay. So we will talk about it later. Are you clear? So two are discrete continuous. This one in which chapter? Study in chapter 7. This one study in chapter 8. Okay. Frequency distribution table, you know what is it? Okay. So usually, how do you present or how do you display all this? You can display as a table. So this is called the display of your data. You can display as a table. Let me show people your collection of data. So you can also display as a what? Bar chart. Do you know what is a bar chart?
Yep.
Okay, can you please turn to page 156? There is one column graph that is called a bar chart. The other one whereby the bar joined together, that is called a histogram. Do you see that? So that is called the display. So you can also display in the form of a graph. Still remember the graph we are talking about? Frequency. Do you know this graph? Okay, so I want you to take your year 11 books about statistics. Please go through that. Can or not? Okay. Now, everyone turn to exercise 6A. Do you have exercise 6A? Okay, the example in the book, you go through by yourselves. Okay, and everyone got exercise 6A?
Yep.
Okay. I sent already. I tell you, whoever don't have, please look through that. Okay. Classify the following numerical variable as discrete and continuous. Number 1. A. The number of students in the classroom, discrete or continuous?
Discrete.
Discrete. Number ma? Student cannot be half student, correct? B. The weight of a cow in a field.
Continuous.
Continuous. So look, like for example, I just want to, based on here, I give you some idea of what is going to happen in chapter 7 and chapter 8. Like for example, I talk about the number of students in the class. Okay. So I can say, okay, I can talk about like number of students in a class. I can say the number of students in a class for Taylor College will be no more than 5 students, for example. So now I have to go and randomly go and collect data, then go and do something, go and do some calculation, then I make a statement. I make a conclusion of that. So that is called. So what is the way to do? We will study that in chapter 9. Like weight of a cow is a continuous. So continuous, you have a continuous way of doing it. So I can say, okay, Mr. X claimed that, okay, the weight of a cow from his field is at least 250 kg. So I will collect the sample, I will do something. So these are called problem statement. So this is what you are going to do for your folio. So I let you have some exposure first, okay? Okay, now C.
Continuous.
Continuous. So from here, when you talk about the maximum temperature of a city, I can say, oh, our weather forecast department claimed that, Malaysian Weather Forecast Department claimed that the maximum temperature of Malaysia has been increased. That means from here has been increased as year go by. So you are going to talk about, then you are going to collect data. So this is another problem statement. See or not? So, okay, D.
Discrete.
The number of hair on the person's head. Haha. Do you think you can count?
No.
Do you think you can count?
No.
Do you think you can count?
No.
No. Who can count our number of hair? Who know our number of hair?
God.
The number of hair on a person's head. See? They say discrete. The book say discrete, but I will not take this. Why? It's impossible for you to count the number of hair on your head. So this is although the book say it's discrete, definitely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? But it's impossible for us to count. So please don't make this kind of statement, okay? Don't say the number of hair for ladies on their head is more than men. Please don't make this kind of problem statement for your folio, okay? Because it's uncountable. Only God knows what is the number of hair on our head. Okay, number E. What do you think? The score.
Discrete.
Discrete.
Okay, they say discrete. Yeah. So actually, to be, if you want to be very precise, but it's impossible. Okay. Number F. The amount of water you consume each day. What you need to do, you just ask yourself, countable or measurable. F, continuous or discrete? Is continuous. Yeah. Yeah. So the amount of water you consume each day. So you see, I can make a problem statement like that. Then I can study about it. I can say, the amount of water consumed each day for those living in a tropical country is more than those living in a non-tropical country. Can I make like that? Can. So you go and study. You always must remember, you must know how to get the data. Okay, now, number 2, consider the following statistic for a tennis player. Age. Discrete. Height. Height is continuous. Okay. Tournament win. Discrete. Average serving speed. Continuous. Look at all this. If you are able to get the data, all these are some idea for you later on to write your folio. So as you go on, you have idea from the book to write your folio. I can make a problem statement. Okay, like tennis player for men. Can someone tell me the famous tennis, the world champion for tennis player, rank number 1? Who is that? Who is that now? Hello, boys. You are not interested in tennis? For girls, yeah. For boys, for men.
Novak Djokovic.
Djokovic. Okay. Do you have? Can you find a record of his average serving speed?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can, you can as year go by. Do you have a record of that? You can say as year go by, the coach of Djokovic claimed that his service speed, his average servicing speed have been increased. So then you can write about that. Okay, ranking, continue, discrete. Career prize money is also discrete. Okay, so I'm just going through what is discrete and continuous for you. Okay, now, if you get into number 3, for each data set, state whether the frequency, histogram, or the column graph should be used. Do you know the difference between histogram, frequency histogram, and column graph? Okay, those who don't have, you have a look at it. Because for the past year, right, I didn't go through this and all will come out with very funny things with me after that. Okay, now. Okay, for number 3. I try to go through some with you. Okay, the calculation, I will talk about it during tutorial. So I try to follow the textbook. Do you know what is a column graph? Column graph means like that. Column graph usually is for discrete variable. This is called column graph. This is for discrete. Okay, histogram is talking about join together. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, histogram, it will be from one value to another, like 20 to 24, 29, and so on. Okay, that's called histogram. And usually is for continuous. Okay, so for 3A, we definitely use column. Column graph. Okay, for B, it's not appropriate, correct? We use histogram. Okay, if you look at number 4. So do you know how to put all this data into your calculator? Do you know or not? You don't know, huh? Okay, afterward, for group 1, we will do it afterward. For group 2, we'll do it tomorrow. I will teach you how to use your GC. Okay, so GC is a very important one. So maybe I can give you some idea first. You can go and work about it. Do you have this button called stack? You have that? You have that stack? So you press that button. You will have this word, edit, calculate, test. So all these, we are going to use it one by one, slowly. So you select edit. Yeah, and you select number 1. After you select number 1, do you see there is a column? L1, L2. This is like your Excel. You can key in your number here. Okay. So you can key in for number 4, correct? Question 4. You try to key in all the number first. Then you can do something about the thing. You can go and sort it out so that you can prepare your frequency distribution table. Are you okay? Or you can prepare it manually, up to you. Okay, same go with question 5. Yep, So never mind. Everyone, do you have your calculator with you? Okay, can you key in all the number in question 4? They are all together 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 40 number. Key in into L1. Start to key in like that. 2, 3, 2, 2, 4. Key in. You know how to key in or not? As you key in, you just put enter, 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 then you will go on and on. Then you can sort it out. Or if you don't want to let the calculator do it, then you do it by yourself like that. You put the tally, also can, your choice. Okay. So I want you to get ready all that 4 and 5. Yep. Before we go on to part B. And 7 also. Would that be okay? So statistic, I need you to help yourself with lots of things. Yep. Okay. Thank you, class.
Thank you, Miss.
Okay, miss.
Thank you, Miss.
Mm.
Miss,
Mm.
Miss, do we have to put all the numbers under L1, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Then you can sort out. There is a under the calculation there is a sort. Then you can try. Just try to explore first. Can?
Okay, Miss.
Mm.
Thank you, Miss.
Welcome.